You ruined it. Hi peeps, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about all things teeth. All things brace related, all things orthodontist related, all things mouthy, gooey, gunky. Oh my god, am I allowed to eat this? Am I allowed to do this? How bad are the molds? How bad are retainers? How bad are tightenings? How bad are... Basically all the things I'm asked when I told you guys I had my braces off. First question comes from Kay and they ask, did you ever break your braces? And if you did, what was your reaction to you breaking them? So my first reaction was, oh my god, I am in so much trouble right now. And then I got really panicky because I was like, oh, I need to go get an appointment again. And then when it happened again, it was a complete different reaction because it was more like a pissed off reaction. And then every time I broke my brace, I just got more and more pissed off because I knew I had to make another appointment. And going to the orthodontist was becoming such a chore because it just meant popping in there for a 2-minute appointment for them to fix something which wasn't necessary and just happened for some unknown reason. But as time went on, my brace broke less. I don't know if that's because they added more glue, because usually what had happened was the bracket had come off my tooth. They may have been doing something differently or just understanding how my teeth work more than they did from the beginning of my sessions, but something happened there that made them break less. It's really nothing to worry about because they literally fill you in with an appointment a couple days down the line, and they do ask you if it's a serious type of thing they need to fix or if it's just something where it's just a little uncomfortable and annoying. And all the time for me it was just a little uncomfortable and annoying. Like, it was never a huge thing that was going to affect me. The next question comes from somebody I believe is called Jacqueline. I'm really sorry. What foods can you not eat when you have them? They literally give you a list of foods that you're not allowed to eat as soon as you get your braces, and it's really hard to read something like that just as you've just got your braces on and now you've been bombarded with all these things that you can't eat. Yes, I possibly bended the rules a little bit. I did eat some things that you weren't allowed to, such as sweets and things like that. The things that I did stick to were the hard things. You weren't allowed to eat things that are going to be really hard, like boiled sweets, because you know you sometimes chew on them at the end and that can break them. So I did miss apples, but because I knew that if I did eat these things it would cause me to go back to the orthodontist and get them fixed, I didn't eat them because I just didn't want that to happen, and it made it easier for me not to eat it. But then when it came to everything else I was just like, no one's gonna notice, so I just did it anyway. Don't tell them that I told you to do that because I so totally didn't tell you to do that. The next question comes from M and she said, would you say that everybody should have braces? If somebody was recommended or is considering them but doesn't have a lot wrong with their teeth, then should they still go ahead with it? It's not my place to tell somebody whether they should go get braces or not, but this is my own personal opinion. I went ahead with it, like most of you probably know. There's another video of me getting the actual braces off. If you'd like to see that, there is a link in the description, and in that video I said I had to get them because there was some like operation I needed to do, like there was a tooth that was up in my gums and they needed to pull it down, etc. So they did say if I didn't have the braces there may be problems later on in life, so I was like, do you know what, I just get it done now whilst it's free, because it's free under the age of 16. But if it comes to the fact that you've been possibly suggested them or you're considering them and you know that there isn't a huge amount of difference it's going to make, if you've got the opportunity to get them for free, which I know is only something in the UK, if you're getting them for free, why the heck not? Like, if it's going to be a little change, that means they're not going to be on for very long. So, but then when it comes to money, depending on what your financial situation is, I would say that if it's not a lot of money and you think it'll be worth it, then why not? I mean, it's kind of like surgery. You think to yourself, should I pay my good hard-earned money or maybe your parents' money on something which I could go without? But it's up to you if it's something that affects you every day. If you look in the mirror, do you think about your teeth? Do you have it in the back of your head when you take a photo? Because I sure did, and that's what made me go ahead of it, and now I don't worry at all. Charlotte asks, how much did they hurt when you first got them on and how long for? When I first had the braces on, I had the bottom ones first. They did not hurt in the slightest. In fact, I kept forgetting they were there because my bottom teeth were so like hidden that you barely saw my bottom teeth. That sounds weird to say, but I'd sometimes forget that that was the case. That my braces had been put on. And then when it came to the top ones, I think there was like a tiny bit of pain, but the pain isn't the bit when it first comes on. When it first gets put on, they don't make it too hard for you at first. They put them on for you to get used to the feeling of braces, and then just to start the shift of movement of all your teeth. But they're not going to do anything dramatic on your first, well, I'd like to think they wouldn't do anything too dramatic on your first appointment. But anyway, I would recommend that you get yourself some really good paracetamol or painkillers. When I went to the hospital to get my tooth taken out, they gave me some really strong painkillers. I think they were cocodamol or something like that. Not codeine, the one below. And they were really helpful when I'd gone home from the orthodontist and it was causing me a little bit of pain. So just get yourself a good paracetamol and it will really help. And honestly, it will just be like that for the first 2 days after coming back if it is painful, but half the time it wasn't for me. But if it ever is, it will only last 2 days, I promise you. It might feel bad at the time, but it will go and then it'll be absolutely fine, I promise. And also in regards of what the pain is, it's not a sharp pain, which is personally my worst kind of pain. That annoying pain that feels like there's a knife somewhere in your body, depending on where the pain is, just poking you and making you feel really uncomfortable. It's more like an ache, so it's like an annoying pain that just lingers, but it will go. Alicia said, what did it feel like getting them off? Having my braces off was a weird experience because I knew that it was going to feel strange because of my other friends telling me that when they had theirs off, their teeth felt bigger than normal. They felt like everyone was staring at their mouths, when the difference to other people is nowhere as near as what you feel it is. Like when you have a spot on your face, like I have one right here, and I think the whole world's looking at it, when really it's a tiny insignificant spot and I'm probably the only one thinking about it. And then they also felt slimy. I know people have told me that when you get your braces off, your teeth are going to feel really slimy, and I was like, okay, that's a weird thing to say. And they really did. Like my teeth, I could not stop doing this because they felt really slimy. But that literally lasted for like 3 days, which is kind of annoying because it's a really nice feeling. It made me feel like I had false teeth on. Madeline said, did it hurt getting your braces off? This was something I was a little concerned about because it was like the last bit I was going to be doing. It was the bit I hadn't heard much about because not many people talk about the bit coming off. They usually talk about all the other stuff that happens in between. So I was like, what do I expect? They just go at your mouth for a while and you're kind of like, when are you going to be done? And then they polish and clean the teeth, and the only bit that was moderately painful was them like yanking off the wire or grip out the wire and take it off. But I say painful, it wasn't even painful, it was just kind of like, what's he doing? Because I got scared that he was going to rip out all my teeth with it, which obviously wouldn't happen. But what I'm saying is that was probably the most concerning bit, but I had no reason to be concerned. But no, having the braces off was probably one of the least painful parts of the whole procedure. Liz actually asked a fair few questions. She said, did it feel weird having them on? Did food ever get stuck in between your teeth? I had to constantly check for my teeth every time I ate because I wasn't sure if there was food stuck in the braces. Rarely was, but it just made you feel self-conscious all the time. And then when you get them off and you don't need to check, it's just such a good feeling. You're just like, yes, I feel great. Did your boyfriend have a hard time making out with you? Not that he told me, although he did notice a difference when I had them off, even though he didn't really notice much of a difference when I had them on. So did they ever bother you? How long did you have them in for when you first got them in? Did you like the feeling or hate it? Did you get used to them? You basically forget that they're there unless they're causing you pain after having them tightened, but it just kind of feels like you've got more of a mouthful all the time, and gradually you get so used to it that you forget and the braces just become a part of your face, and you genuinely do forget. I used to forget so much that I'd wonder why someone was looking at my mouth and then mention my braces or something, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I got braces. So you do get used to it. I didn't hate them, but I didn't love them. They were just like a part of me for a good couple years. Michelle asked us quite a good question. She said, did you ever feel self-conscious having braces at an older age? I'm 24 and working, also getting braces in a few months. This is quite a good question because nobody barely has braces at my age. I mean, I'm at university and I'm sat there with braces. I don't think that it should be a problem nowadays because so many people have braces, but because you consider having braces as a young thing to do because everybody has braces as soon as their adult teeth come through, I didn't find any problems with this because, not being big-headed or anything, but generally as a person I get called cute quite a bit. Like I'm not the type of person who gets called hot or like something else, which is a shame because I'd rather be called hot than cute. But people associate me as young, like I'm quite small everyone sees me as their little sister. I'm always the youngest, or all my friendship groups and all this. So having these braces kind of like certified my standing as little Ellie, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So it never really bothered me because I always just see myself as young anyway. But if you're like 24, it kind of just shows that you're going through a surgery procedure, kind of like if someone was going through like having a facelift or like a boob job or something. It's literally the same but in your mouth, so it kind of just makes you look like you are taking control of the way you want to look, and that's quite a mature and independent thing to do at that age, especially because you're spending your money to do something like that. And now obviously if anyone saw you, they would know that you've spent your money in front of you to have this procedure done, and that procedure is something that you want done. So it's not like you have a flaw or an imperfection or something unwelcomed on your face that you would rather without. Because you know that you shouldn't be self-conscious about something, it makes you not self-conscious about it, because it's something which you personally want to do and have, and you should embrace it whilst you have it, because you're the one who's going to be looking dapper with your brand new white pearls. She also asks if I have any advice on keeping my teeth clean, and did I have to change toothbrushes to accommodate braces. Not gonna lie, I didn't change much of my routine when I had my braces. I still brush my teeth twice a day. I used the same toothbrush actually. I didn't change any of my toothbrushes. They did give me like this little weird thing with brush bristles, and you go in between the like brackets and stuff, but I only used that when I felt like I needed it. Like every now and again I'd be like, oh, I'll just use this. But you're meant to use it every day. I could have gone a bit further, but they turned out fine in my personal opinion. People get worried when they have their braces off that there's gonna be a staining around where your bracket used to be, because obviously you haven't been able to brush underneath the braces, but come on, I didn't have that problem, and I didn't even change my routine. This is probably the worst advice video ever, because I'm basically doing everything they told me not to do. At Heartbeat Charlie asks, can you still eat chewing gum? Because I always do to help my anxiety. This is a really good question and a really important one, because chewing gum does wonders for anxiety people. I make it sound like there's a club. For people who get anxious really easily, because for some reason your body associates eating food to not being anxious, because if you're eating food it means you're comfortable, right? But if you have braces, they always tell you that you can't chew gum, can you? I still chewed gum. They say it because it can get stuck in your braces. Chewing gum only starts getting sticky and starts sticking to everything that it touches when it gets old and like isn't fresh anymore. So I just used to have gum every now and again and keep it in my mouth for about half an hour, and then everything was fine. Just don't chew really sticky gum like bubble gum or something, I can only suggest, but I was okay with it, and I'm pretty sure you will be if you really are a gum chewer or you need gum in some way. I wouldn't say that's too much of a problem at all. I know so many people that still chewing gum with braces on. It might feel a bit weird in the beginning, but you'll be absolutely fine as long as you don't play with it and start like picking it into your brace or something weird. Like I remember I once pulled it out of me like that, and then it like got stuck to my wire. Next question comes from at sadlycast. How did you cope with the molds? Because I thought they were the worst thing ever. The molds were something I was scared about because I'd heard so much about them, and everyone was like, oh my god, they're so difficult to do because you will gag and it's like horrible. I was like, what the heck? The only bad thing about the molds was the fact it was really spongy and like cold and sludgy and soft. It kind of felt like goo was like sticking to my gums. If you focus on anything but that, you'll be fine. Like keep your mind on something else. They do it individually, they don't do the bottoms and the tops, so you're not gonna gag or something like that. They do the first like one, push it up, and then it makes the mold, and then it dries, and then it takes off, and they do your bottom ones. It really wasn't anything to me. They gave me a mint flavoured one, but it honestly is a really important part of the process, so it is gonna have to be done. But at Cara_McHugh How painful is tightening? Tightening was the most painful part of all of it. It just means you're coming home and then a couple hours after you've had them tightened, they start to ache. So they were like annoyingly painful, like I just said, but keep your painkillers topped up, have a sleep. Don't eat anything too hard if you can't. Sometimes I had my braces tightened, came home and didn't even feel like I'd had them tightened and I could eat anything. But if you feel like they're gonna be a bit more painful this time, then just simply stick to things like soups and soft foods and rice and things like that to keep your like pain down. So our question comes from Jenny_Pugsley. Hi Jenny. Jenny is bae. She asks, how is the upkeep of them after you get them removed? How high maintenance are they? Now they've been removed, all I have to do is wear retainers for the rest of my life. No, but seriously, they do recommend you wear your retainers every night. So I've worn my retainers every single day for 2 weeks, which they asked me to do, and then now I have to wear them every time when I go to bed. That is absolutely fine to me because I just do it so that I can make sure that they haven't moved. As long as when you put the retainer on it isn't painful, you're good to go. So if you put the retainer back on, which is basically just a plastic mold, it looks like a pair of false teeth but see-through. I could be wearing them right now and you wouldn't even notice, and you go to bed. And if it feels painful during this night or you just feel like your teeth are moving, it probably means you should wear the retainer for the day as well and then go back to only nights, because a retainer is basically the exact mold of where your teeth should be and how you want them to always be. So it just keeps them into place and it just makes you aware that your teeth haven't moved and everything's fine and dandy. They are £60 to get a new pair, so I just keep that in mind as well. They're quite expensive, shouldn't lose them, should use them. And then Jenny also asked how high maintenance the braces were. Like I said, I didn't really change much other than some things I ate. I had to be careful that I wasn't going to break them. In my opinion, so little maintenance, but that was probably because I did it all wrong. So that is actually the end of the video now. I really hope that it helped you. I know I didn't stick by the rules. I know I gave some really bad advice because I was telling you the wrong things, but it's my own personal experience. I'm trying to make it sound as easy as possible because it really was. I don't like people worrying so much about something I know that is not very difficult. There are a lot more cases that were worse than mine, but I just want to say to you that if you're going to go ahead with it, you will be absolutely fine. No one I know has had braces and regretted it. Like, please, for me, and let me know what the results are in a couple years time, or just tell me that you're about to have them or whatever, and I'll be very excited for you, I promise. I'm gonna go now. Thank you so much for you guys sending in all those questions and watching, of course. You can follow me on my social networking sites down there if you would like to be included in any future videos like this one, and make sure you subscribe to my channel, be notified every time I make a new video and become a member of the Poop Troop. And don't forget to choose happiness, and happiness will choose you. Stay awesome, stay happy, stay sexy. Bye guys. Whee! Teeth. My boobies! And anyway, moving straight on to my favourites. So the first thing is what I'm going to talk about because you can see it right now. What is it? What is it you can see right now? It's my eyelashes. I'm wearing these. Ta-da! These are Eyelure. I'm a proper noob when it comes to eyelashes because I've never got into